The Roman military was a formidable force that played a crucial role in the rise and expansion of the Roman Empire. One of the key aspects of the Roman military was its organization into legions, each consisting of around 5,000 heavily armed infantry soldiers known as legionaries. These legions were further divided into smaller units called centuries, each led by a centurion who was responsible for discipline and training. The Roman army also included auxiliary troops recruited from non-citizen populations of the empire, providing additional support and diversity to their forces. One of the most interesting facts about the Roman military is its engineering prowess. The Romans were skilled builders and innovators, known for their construction of roads, bridges, and fortifications that facilitated the movement of troops and supplies across their vast empire. They also developed advanced siege warfare techniques, such as the construction of siege engines like ballistae and catapults, which were used to breach enemy defenses during sieges. In terms of numbers, at its peak, the Roman army is estimated to have had over 400,000 soldiers stationed across the empire, making it one of the largest and most well-organized military forces of its time. This vast military machine allowed Rome to project power and maintain control over its vast territories, ensuring the security and stability of the empire. The Roman military's discipline, training, and strategic acumen were key factors in their ability to dominate the ancient world and establish one of the greatest empires in history. The Roman military organization was a well-oiled machine that played a crucial role in the success of the Roman Empire. At the heart of this organization were the legions, each consisting of around 5,000 heavily armed infantry soldiers known as legionaries. These legions were further divided into smaller units called centuries, each led by a centurion who was responsible for discipline and training. The centurions were experienced soldiers who had worked their way up through the ranks and commanded respect from their men. Each legion also had a standard-bearer who carried the legion's eagle standard, a symbol of pride and honor for the soldiers. The Roman army also included auxiliary troops recruited from non-citizen populations of the empire, providing additional support and diversity to their forces. These auxiliary troops served in various roles, including cavalry, archers, and light infantry, complementing the legionaries in battle. The Roman military was known for its strict discipline and rigorous training regimen. Soldiers were expected to follow orders without question and adhere to a strict code of conduct. Training was intense and focused on developing physical fitness, combat skills, and discipline. The Roman military also had a well-defined chain of command, with clear ranks and responsibilities for officers and soldiers. At the top of the hierarchy was the general, who was responsible for overall command of the army. Below the general were the senior officers, such as tribunes and legates, who oversaw specific legions or units. Centurions led the individual centuries, while soldiers followed their orders and carried out their duties on the battlefield. The Roman military was highly organized and efficient, with each soldier knowing their role and responsibilities in the larger army. In terms of numbers, the Roman army was a massive force that could field hundreds of thousands of soldiers at its peak. During the height of the Roman Empire, it is estimated that the army consisted of over 400,000 soldiers stationed across the empire. This vast military machine allowed Rome to project power and maintain control over its vast territories, ensuring the security and stability of the empire. The Roman military's organization, discipline, and training were key factors in their ability to conquer and maintain one of the largest empires in history. The Roman military strategies were a key component of their success in dominating the ancient world. One of the most notable strategies employed by the Romans was the concept of divide and conquer. This strategy involved breaking up enemy forces into smaller, more manageable units, and then defeating them individually. By isolating and defeating smaller groups of enemies, the Romans were able to weaken their opponents and secure victory on the battlefield. Another important Roman military strategy was the use of deception and misinformation. The Romans were skilled at spreading false information about their troop movements, intentions, and capabilities to confuse and mislead their enemies. This tactic often caught their adversaries off guard and gave the Romans a strategic advantage in battle. The Romans also excelled in the use of strategic positioning and fortifications. They would often choose battlefields that favored their own forces, such as open plains for their cavalry or narrow passes to limit enemy movement. Additionally, the Romans were experts at constructing fortified camps and defensive positions, which provided them with a secure base of operations and protection from enemy attacks. One of the most famous examples of Roman military strategy was the Fabian strategy, named after the Roman general Quintus Fabius Maximus. This strategy involved avoiding direct confrontations with the enemy and instead focusing on wearing them down through attrition and guerrilla tactics. By avoiding pitched battles and engaging in hit-and-run attacks, Fabius was able to weaken the enemy without risking the destruction of his own forces. The Romans also made effective use of combined arms tactics, integrating infantry, cavalry, and artillery units to create a versatile and well-rounded fighting force. This approach allowed them to adapt to different battlefield conditions and enemy tactics, giving them a significant advantage in combat. In terms of numbers, the Roman military strategies were implemented on a massive scale. At its height, the Roman Empire controlled vast territories and faced numerous enemies, requiring the deployment of hundreds of thousands of soldiers across multiple fronts. The ability to coordinate and execute complex military strategies on such a large scale was a testament to the organizational skills and leadership of the Roman military commanders. The success of Roman military strategies can be seen in their numerous victories and conquests, which allowed them to establish one of the largest empires in history. The combination of innovative tactics, strategic thinking, and sheer military might made the Roman army a force to be reckoned with in the ancient world. Roman military tactics were a crucial element in the success of the Roman army on the battlefield. One of the key tactics employed by the Romans was the testudo formation, also known as the tortoise. This formation involved soldiers forming a tight shield wall by overlapping their shields above their heads and on the sides, creating a protective shell that shielded them from enemy projectiles. The testudo formation was particularly effective during sieges and when advancing under missile fire, providing Roman soldiers with a mobile and impenetrable defense. Another innovative tactic used by the Romans was the maniple system. This system divided the legion into smaller, more flexible units called maniples, each consisting of around 120 soldiers. The maniples could maneuver independently on the battlefield, allowing the Roman army to adapt quickly to changing circumstances and outmaneuver their opponents. The Roman army also made effective use of cavalry units in battle. Roman cavalry, known as equites, were skilled horsemen who provided mobility, reconnaissance, and shock value on the battlefield. They were often used to flank enemy formations, pursue retreating forces, and disrupt enemy lines. In terms of numbers, a Roman legion typically consisted of around 5,000 infantry soldiers, organized into maniples and supported by cavalry and auxiliary troops. Each legion had its own unique tactics and strategies, honed through years of training and battlefield experience. The Roman army's emphasis on discipline, training, and coordination allowed them to execute complex tactical maneuvers with precision and efficiency. One of the most famous Roman military tactics was the double envelopment, also known as the pincer movement. This tactic involved surrounding the enemy on both flanks, creating a deadly trap from which there was no escape. The Romans used this tactic to great effect in battles such as the Battle of Cannae, where they encircled and annihilated a much larger Carthaginian army. The success of Roman military tactics can be seen in their numerous victories and conquests, which allowed them to establish one of the most powerful empires in history. The combination of innovative tactics, strategic thinking, and disciplined execution made the Roman army a formidable force on the ancient battlefield. The Roman military was known for its innovative approach to warfare, which played a significant role in their dominance of the ancient world. One of the most notable Roman military innovations was the development of the corvus, a boarding bridge that could be lowered onto enemy ships during naval battles. This allowed Roman soldiers to board and capture enemy vessels, turning naval engagements into close-quarters combat where their superior training and discipline could prevail. The Corvus was a game-changer in naval warfare and gave the Romans a decisive advantage at sea. Another important Roman military innovation was the pilum, a type of javelin used by Roman soldiers. The pilum had a unique design with a weighted head that would bend on impact, making it difficult to remove from shields and bodies. This not only caused physical damage but also disrupted enemy formations and hindered their ability to fight effectively. The pilum was a versatile and effective weapon that became a staple of the Roman army. The Romans were also pioneers in the field of military engineering, developing advanced siege weapons such as ballistae, catapults, and siege towers. These machines were used to breach enemy fortifications, launch projectiles over long distances, and provide cover for assaulting troops during sieges. The Romans' expertise in siege warfare allowed them to conquer heavily fortified cities and strongholds throughout their conquests. In terms of numbers, the Roman military innovations were implemented on a massive scale. At its peak, the Roman Empire controlled vast territories and faced numerous enemies, requiring the deployment of hundreds of thousands of soldiers across multiple fronts. The Romans' innovative tactics and technologies gave them a significant edge in battle, allowing them to outmaneuver and outfight their adversaries. The combination of military innovation, strategic thinking, and disciplined execution made the Roman army a formidable force that shaped the course of ancient history. The legacy of Roman military innovations can still be seen today in modern military tactics, technologies, and engineering principles. The Roman legions were the backbone of the Roman military, renowned for their discipline, training, and effectiveness on the battlefield. Each legion consisted of around 5,000 heavily armed infantry soldiers, organized into maniples and centuries. One interesting fact is that the Roman legions were highly adaptable and versatile, capable of fighting in various terrains and against different types of enemies. The legions were known for their iconic armor and weaponry, including the Lorica segmentata armor and the gladius sword, which became symbols of Roman military might. The Roman legions were also famous for their engineering skills, often constructing roads, bridges, and fortifications as they marched across the empire. In terms of numbers, at its peak, the Roman army consisted of over 30 legions, totaling around 150,000 soldiers. Each legion had its own unique emblem, standards, and battle honors, instilling a sense of pride and camaraderie among its soldiers. The legions were led by experienced commanders, such as legates and tribunes, who were responsible for overseeing operations and ensuring the cohesion of the unit. One interesting detail is that Roman legionaries were not only skilled fighters, but also proficient in other tasks such as building, engineering, and logistics, making them a well-rounded and self-sufficient fighting force. The Roman legions were instrumental in the expansion and maintenance of the Roman Empire, conquering vast territories and securing Roman dominance in the ancient world. Their disciplined formations, tactical acumen, and unwavering loyalty to Rome made them a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Roman siege warfare was a critical aspect of Roman military strategy, allowing them to conquer heavily fortified cities and strongholds throughout their conquests. One interesting detail is that the Romans were skilled engineers and innovators, developing advanced siege weapons and tactics to overcome enemy defenses. They utilized a variety of siege engines, such as ballistae, catapults, and battering rams, to breach city walls and fortifications. The Romans also employed siege towers, mobile wooden structures that allowed soldiers to attack from a higher vantage point and gain access to enemy walls. These siege towers were equipped with archers and soldiers who could rain down arrows and projectiles on defenders. One of the most famous sieges in Roman history was the Siege of Masada, where Roman forces built a massive siege ramp to breach the walls of the fortress. The Romans were also known for their use of siege tactics, such as blockade and starvation, to force surrender without direct assault. In terms of numbers, Roman siege warfare was a massive undertaking that required careful planning and coordination. During sieges, Roman legions would surround enemy cities and fortresses, cutting off supply lines and communication to weaken their defenses. The Romans would then deploy their siege engines and begin the assault, using a combination of brute force and strategic tactics to break through enemy walls. The success of Roman siege warfare can be seen in their numerous conquests and victories, where they were able to subdue even the most well-defended cities of the ancient world. The Romans' expertise in siege warfare was a testament to their military prowess and engineering skills, allowing them to maintain control over their vast empire through a combination of force and strategy. Roman naval warfare was a crucial component of Roman military power, allowing them to control the Mediterranean Sea and expand their empire. One interesting fact is that the Romans were not originally a seafaring nation, but quickly adapted and became formidable naval forces. They developed innovative tactics such as the Corvus boarding bridge, which gave them a decisive advantage in naval battles. The Roman navy consisted of a mix of warships, including triremes and quinquiremes, equipped with ballistae and other siege weapons. At its peak, the Roman navy had over 200 warships and played a key role in securing trade routes, transporting troops, and conducting amphibious operations. The Romans' naval dominance was a testament to their strategic vision and military ingenuity. The impact of the Roman military on the ancient world was profound and far-reaching. One interesting detail is that the Roman military not only expanded the borders of the Roman Empire, but also influenced the cultures and societies of the conquered territories. The Roman army introduced new technologies, engineering techniques, and military strategies that were adopted by other civilizations. In terms of numbers, the Roman military at its peak consisted of over 400,000 soldiers stationed across the empire, making it one of the largest and most powerful military forces of its time. The Roman military's disciplined organization, innovative tactics, and strategic vision shaped the course of ancient history, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to be studied and admired to this day. The Roman military's impact on the ancient world extended beyond conquests, influencing cultures and technologies. Roman legions, with around 5,000 soldiers each, were known for their discipline and adaptability. The Roman navy, with over 200 warships, played a crucial role in securing trade routes. The Romans' innovative siege warfare tactics, such as the Corvus boarding bridge, gave them a strategic advantage. At its peak, the Roman army consisted of over 400,000 soldiers, showcasing the empire's military might. The Romans' legacy in military engineering, tactics, and organization continues to be studied and admired for its influence on ancient warfare.